Hey, welcome back to We Be Kids again. My name's Danny, I'm one of the founders at We Be Kids and I'm a storyteller. If this is your first time at We Be Kids, be sure to check out our website. It's webekids.net, and there you'll find over 250 videos all about nature to help you and your family head out into nature, connect with nature and improve your well-being. Today, I've come up to the woods to tell you a story. And this is a very special story because earlier this year, I was at a storytelling workshop and I was delivering some storytelling when a We Be Kids super fan approached me and said that they have watched every single story on We Be Kids. And most nights, a We Be Kids story is their bedtime story. Now, this We Be Kids superfan was called Kitty. So, hi Kitty, this is a special story for you. You know which one it is. And she knows which one it is because she brought this book along. And there's a story in here that she has asked me to tell. And the story is called The King Who Wanted to Touch the Moon. Now, the story is from the Dominican Republic. And you may have heard me tell another story on here called The Moon Goddess. And sometimes I tell these stories together because they run on nicely. So, let's begin. This story is a very, 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 very old story. And it comes from a land that was ruled by a king. And the king had absolutely everything that he wanted. All of the possessions that anybody could dream of. But there was one thing that he didn't have. One thing that he wanted more than anything else. And that was to be able to touch the moon. Now, he thought about it long and hard for many years until he decided that it had to happen. And he thought of all the people who might be able to help him. And then it dawned on him that what he needed was a structure, a tower maybe, that he could climb to get all the way up there and touch the moon for himself. So he called for the royal carpenter. And the royal carpenter came along and the king said, I have a task for you. I want you to build me a tower that goes all the way up to the moon. And I can climb that tower and reach out and hold the moon for myself. Now, the carpenter, as you can imagine, was in complete shock. He said, this can't be done. Nobody can build a tower all the way up there. It's too far away. It cannot be done. And the king's face became very stern. He said, do not tell me that it cannot be done. I am the king. I order you to build me a tower that I can climb and touch the moon. And if you don't, then I'm going to throw you in jail. Now, the carpenter didn't want to be thrown in jail, so he thought long and hard about how he could get a tower that goes all the way up to the moon. And then he had an idea. You see, all around in all of the towns and all of the villages, every single house had a lovely wooden chest that they stored all their things in. And the carpenter thought, we can collect all the chests and we can stack them on each other and that tower will go way, way, way up into the sky. Maybe that'll do it. So he went back to the king and he explained his idea. And the king agreed. So they put out word across the whole of the kingdom and they told everybody who had a chest that they must bring it to the king's castle. So people from far and wide came. And as they came, they handed their wooden chests over to the carpenter. And the carpenter nailed them together, one on top of the other, until they had a huge tower that went all the way up into the clouds. The carpenter told the king, and the king came out and he looked, and they waited until the moon rose up into the sky and the king began to climb. And he climbed higher and higher and higher, and all the people below watched. He went higher and higher and higher, and the people gazed. He almost went out of sight. But when he arrived at the very, very top, he reached up as far as he could. The moon was still too far away. So he climbed back down and he said to the carpenter, that won't do. The tower's not big enough. We've got to build it higher. I insist, I demand that you make this tower big enough so I can go all the way to the moon. So the carpenter thought long and hard again. He said to the king, we don't have enough materials. All the chests have been used. The king said, then cut down all the trees and make some new chests. So it was ordered that all of the trees across the whole of the land would be cut down. And they were chopped down, and they were sliced, and they were planed, and they were sawn, and they were built into new chests. And all of the chests were stacked higher and higher and higher and higher onto the top of the tower. And when all the chests from all the trees were up on the tower, the king climbed again. And he climbed, and he climbed, and he climbed. Up, up, up he went. All the people watched below, amazed. Could he finally make it all the way up to touch the moon? And he climbed, and he climbed, and he climbed. And when he got to the top, he reached out. Oh, he was so close, but he was just out of reach. So he called down to the carpenter. He said, I can't reach. I need more chests. The carpenter said, we don't have any more chests. We've used all of the chests and all of the trees. And the king said, well, there is one chest that we haven't used, and that is the chest from my castle. Go and bring that, and then I'll be able to touch the moon. So they went into the castle, and they found the king's chest. Solid wood with golden hinges and a golden handle. And they got that, and they carried it up the tower till it got to the very, very top, and the king fixed it on. He demanded them all back down to the ground. And he climbed onto the chest. This would be the moment. He reached up to touch the moon, but it was still too far away. He reached onto his tiptoes. He stretched as far as he could. He was so close. Only inches kept him from holding on to the moon himself. He was angry and disappointed, so he shouted down to the carpenter. He said, we need another chest. And the carpenter said, we haven't got any more chests. We are completely out. The king said, well, if there aren't any more chests, pass me the one from the bottom. And the carpenter thought about that for a second. He said, are you sure? The king said, I am more than sure. I order you. Pass me the one from the bottom, or I will throw you in jail. So the carpenter did as he was told. He asked other people to come round, and together they held onto the chest on the bottom, and they pulled, and they pulled, and with all their might, they pulled the chest out. And as the chest came out, you can guess what happened. The whole tower came tumbling down, and the king was never, ever seen again. And that is the end of the story. So I hope you enjoyed that story. Don't thank me for it. Thank Kitty. It was her idea. Thank you so much, Kitty, and thank you for being a Weeby Kids super fan as well. So Whatever you're up to on this lovely day, we hope it includes a nature adventure, and we hope to see you again sometime soon at Wee Kids. Bye!